when you open your inbox at 7 a.m. and find a week's worth of AOBB, LPA, NMR, and DEXA results waiting to be interpreted. The problem is not that you need another alert. It is that the work arrived without a safe system for sorting, sourcing, and staging it for your review. The job must make failed retrieval visible before morning review begins. You will learn how Cron turns an agent from a reactive chat into scheduled infrastructure, walk through a nightly review-only result surveillance job, and use fresh context, idempotency, audit logs, and fail-close delivery. So a useful overnight workflow does not silently duplicate. Before Cron, an agent is reactive. You ask for a chart review, it responds. In a clinical environment, Cron is only useful if it is predictable. A job should have a clear owner, schedule, purpose, data boundary. In a fresh agent session, that is a feature, not an inconvenience. For a nightly job, choose a time when results are stable, enough to retrieve, and when the output will be reviewed. Is not a reliable policy. Idempotency is the next essential concept. A job is idempotent when running it twice. Does not create two clinically confusing versions of the same result work. Safe Cron design also distinguishes monitoring from action. It may not independently tell the patient what it means. Recommend treatment, change a problem list, or schedule follow-up. The Q turns automation into accountable work assignment. Let's design a nightly surveillance job for new, finalized ApoB. That rule set specifies which result types are in scope, which units and source formats are acceptable, which values require, review flags, and which combinations need special handling. The rule set is physician-owned, reviewed against practice policy, and never a hidden model assumption. The job begins with a no agent pre-check. It never converts a source failure into there were no results. If new records are found, the agent job starts in a fresh session. Unit mismatch is a hard stop for threshold comparison. If the source reports a value in an unexpected unit, or the structured field is absent, the card says, threshold comparison not performed, unit or field verification required. The job builds a key from the source result identifier, finalization timestamp, panel type, and rule set version. It searches the protected. Also prepare patient message copy ready language, but only inside the stage card, and only after the rule set has flagged the result, rather than a completed interpretation. It cannot say your result is dangerous. Start medication, repeat testing in, or you are cleared. The agent's overnight task is complete once it has surfaced. A source-linked reviewable work item. This is how Cron becomes ambient infrastructure without ambient autonomy. It does repetitive surveillance, preserves the traceability of its result, and places human judgment, exactly at the point where medical meaning and communication begin. A result surveillance job cannot determine clinical urgency from a number alone. A rule set can identify a reason to look. It cannot replace the clinician, who decides what the result means. Thresholds are also not timeless facts. An empty queue can mean a quiet night, a source outage, a bad query, or a stalled job. That is why each run needs health monitoring, run logs, watermarks, duplicate protection, and a visible escalation path to a human operator. Finally, an overnight draft. The rule is that Cron may retrieve finalized source data, apply a physician-approved review rule set, and stage 1 source-linked card. It may never send a patient message, change the chart, place an order, schedule a follow-up, or state a clinical conclusion. The job creates work. It never replaces the review that gives work meaning. The physician retains responsibility for deciding whether the result changes care. That decision remains visible in the review trail. This week, do not schedule a live clinical cron job. Instead, write a one-page specification for one surveillance idea using synthetic data. Include the schedule. Then write the one sentence the job must never cross. For example, this job never sends a patient message or changes the chart. If you cannot explain what happens when the source is down, or the job runs twice, you are not ready to automate the happy path. Start with observability, dry runs, and a review queue. The goal is not an AI that works while nobody watches. It is infrastructure that reliably prepares the right human work at the right time. That modest goal is the one that can be made dependable. Build the monitoring and alert path before a production schedule. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice or legal advice. Any implementation of AI agents in a clinical setting must be reviewed against your local HIPAA posture, state board requirements, malpractice carrier policy, and your own professional judgment. The physician remains the accountable clinical decision maker.